Hey everybody, this is Tony up with Class Eagles. Hope you're having a great day. I wanted to share a piece of advice that I got when I was a kid growing up, and around the age where I started becoming interested in playing at the next level, from a coach who was an important part of that process, and I think really helped me be able to play in college. And that advice was that I never know who's watching. Obviously, it's a great piece of advice for players on the field, but a piece of advice that has stuck with me throughout my life. But what he was trying to get me to understand is that every time I stepped on the field to practice or play, I never know who was watching my performance and what I was doing. And again, it didn't have to be a perfect performance, and I'm not always going to play my best, but the effort, the attitude, the things that people pick up on as they're watching a player, especially if it's a college coach recruiting you, or and to his point, someone who might know somebody who knows someone that you're going to talk to about attending a school. You get that reputation as a player when people watch you on the field, whether it's in training or in games. So what he kind of really made me understand is that every time I stepped on the field, I needed to put my best self out there, and it wasn't always going to be my best performance. I always wasn't going to have a great game, but that wasn't always the important thing. It was, what was my attitude like? What was my effort like? How did I treat my teammates? How was I handling myself as a person? What did my body language look like? So he made me very self-aware that I needed to make sure that if anyone ever was watching me play or practice, that they were going to see the best version of me, the me that I'd want them to remember me as, and I wanted to try to avoid as much as possible them seeing, someone I wasn't. And I think, as a director now, as a club, and, in personal life, anything else, you think about that, and, it's very important, way, to try to approach things, that you always want people to see the best of you, and that's not to mean that you have to see a fake version of you. You want them to see exactly who you really are, and there's always going to be the things people don't agree with, or things aren't going to make people happy at times, but at the same time you want them to walk away knowing, or seeing you as you would want to be seen. And as a club director, I think this is important, for players and parents and coaches within the club as well, is that, when we are out at, games or tournaments or practice fields, you just never know who's watching. You as a coach, you as a player, or the parents of the team, and people might see you just once, and then they're going to have that opinion of, how that coach coaches, or how that player plays, or, what that parent group or parents are like on the sideline, just from that one moment. And I don't think anyone wants to be remembered that way, in those bad moments we have. And we're all human, we make mistakes. But I think when we approach what we do with that in mind, that there's always, you never know who's watching, and you do want, to kind of give and people to see the best version of you, is that it helps kind of eliminate and limit those times where we might not be as proud of how we acted, responded, or, the way we handled ourselves in a game or on a sideline. So from when that piece of advice was given to me as a player, I think it helped a lot in terms of how I approach training and how I approach games, that I always wanted to give my best effort. And now I try to apply it to everything else I do personally, and what I ask of coaches, players, and parents within our club is, the same thing, is that you never know who's going to be watching at any moment. And especially when you're representing something larger than yourself, when you're a part of a team or a club, whether that's at youth level, college level, or even at the professional level, you are representing something and others as well. So when someone sees you with a logo or crest on your chest, and you act a certain way and behave a certain way, most likely they're going to associate that with everybody else within the organization. So, I would say that there's even a bigger responsibility, for us as parents, coaches, and players, when we're wearing those jerseys and representing our clubs and our communities, that we are very aware that we don't know who's watching, and we want to, show our best, best side of ourselves. And whether, that's how we, cheer for our teams, interact with other teams and parents, the way we compete and play if we're players, and as a coach, how we handle ourselves on the sideline. So I wanted to share that, and I think we all can apply it to probably every aspect of our life. But whether you're a player, coach, or parent, around the game, you always want to be thinking that, because it's amazing, the phone calls I'll get, from as a director, from parents, coaches, or players from other clubs saying, "Hey, I just want you to know we saw this person do this, and we were just blown away by that level of sportsmanship, and they're going out of the way to help another player or parent or coach, referees calling and complimenting the way the team competed, and the parents on the sideline, or the coach was professional on the sideline, but then you get the other phone calls which aren't as much fun, and people are sometimes surprised, like, wow, somebody saw that. And yeah, people do, and they pay attention. And I don't think any of us ever want to, give the wrong impression about ourselves or also the organization that we represent. So I just wanted to share that piece of advice. I would, suggest sharing it with your players, your teams, your clubs, that you never know who's watching. And, we all have that responsibility, for ourselves personally, to try to represent and give our best self forward, but also representing others, whether it's a club or community, that we are very aware that people are really getting to see the best side of us.